Hi, Wonder Class, and welcome to our English lesson on Wednesday, the 24th of February 2021. So, in yesterday's lesson, we were looking at graphic novels and what they are, how we can compare them to how we can compare them to comic books and how they are different. So there was 3 tasks for you to complete yesterday, looking at the definitions and using them in some sentences. So what we're going to be looking at today is understanding the features of a graphic novel. So looking at the things that are included in a graphic novel in order to make the graphic novel look that way. So get to know your graphic novel. So in a graphic novel, you will have page features, panels, frames, glitters, speech and thoughts bubbles, captions, and onomatopoeia. So let's have a look at what they look like. So panels, as you can see, and the frames are what surrounds the information. Speech and thought bubbles that come from the character of the person. Captions, which are written just like when we draw a picture and we write a caption. And onomatopoeia, which are words which show what the sound would be at the time. So here's another example for you to have a look at. You've got sound effects, also known as onomatopoeia. So a panel is the box that contains the story. Panels are arranged from left to right, top to bottom. A gutter is where there is space between the panels. We call that a gutter. So that gives us a space to break up the story and the picture. Word balloons and thought bubbles. So contains the dialogue or thoughts, so what the person is saying or thoughts of the character in the stories. That's what the word balloons and thought bubbles do. A caption box is a rectangular box at the top or the bottom of the panel. It is used as a narrative aid. It helps the reader to understand the setting and the story better. So there will be a picture and then a rectangular box underneath, which we call a caption box, which would have the information in it. Onomatopoeia is sounds of words, a word that imitates a sound. For example, boom, whap, wow, pow, biff, zoom. All of these types of how we would spell the word if it was a sound. So, how do I read it? So, read the panels from left to right and top to bottom. Read items inside each panel the same way. You can read from bottom and left to right. There is the order of reading, it depends on how it's being written. How to read a graphic novel. So graphic novels are read left to right, just like traditional text. So it looks like you might not have to read it the same way, but you do. You read it from the left-hand side to the right-hand side if it's written in that order. Action to action transition. The actions of a character's change from frame to frame. This usually takes place over a short period of time. It often used in fight or chase scenes, which is when this will change. Remember, graphic novels show the story rather than tell you. Take your time and study the illustrations carefully. So they're a use of pictures to show you the story. Now, when you're looking at graphic novels, at the first glance, we see the following. We see a panel, gutter, speech bubbles and thought bubbles, onomatopoeia, and a caption box. When looking at graphic novels, we also look at the sentence level features. Specifically, we are going to look at what goes into adventure stories. So, adventure stories are a type of narrative in which a protagonist embarks on some sort of journey or quest. In adventure stories, the protagonist often has to overcome exciting or dangerous events to the main person in the story. There is often some kind of villain or dark force that the protagonist must defeat. Adventure stories often contain lots of action. Some sections are fast-paced while some are slower and more descriptive. Most adventure stories are told in chronological order. However, sometimes writers use effects such as flashbacks to tell events in different orders. Adventure stories are often written in the past tense. So, what words and techniques should I use? So you need to use description when you are writing. You will use nouns, adjectives which are describing words, verbs to describe the movement, expanded noun phrases as we have done in our Monday Spag lesson. Similes, metaphors, and onomatopoeia are used appropriately for the effect, and long flowing sentences can be used to describe things, but also short snappy sentences can be used to move the action of the story along. You should also use punctuation, full stops, commas, question marks, exclamation marks, and apostrophes in the correct places. the use of sentence openers. For example, it was just an ordinary day, or suddenly, the next day, afterwards. Conjunctions which join the sentences together and your ideas together. Fronted adverbials often move to the beginning of a sentence, which just creates more of an excitement within the sentence. The use of dialogue to show when a character is talking by using these inverted commas around the words. So around what's spoken, the words will be going in between that. And a word map underneath, which is got a little bit of words for you to use if you need to, just an idea of some different types of language that you can use. So in your writing, remember to use the spelling, grammar, and handwriting rules that you have learned. Content. So what am I going to be writing about? So often there'll be a setting. So where the setting is where the story is actually taking place. You try to immerse your reader into your setting through a range of descriptive techniques which appeal to the reader's five senses. So often you would describe the setting using the five senses in a descriptive way that would make the reader then feel like they are in that place when they're reading that part of your graphic novel. You would have to have your characters. You might have some of the same types of characters. You might have heroes, villains, sidekicks, and your characters, you need to describe them so that each character is got their own sense of characterization through your description. You also have a quest. There needs to be a reason for the adventure to take place. So what's the reason? Make it exciting. What's the journey, or where are you going, and what's going to be happening? That will be used in the descriptions. You will have a structure. Your story will need a title. So here is a story mountain. So you will have a beginning, a build up, then you will have a sort of problem that comes up, a climax, which will mean there needs to be a battle, a resolution, and an ending. So almost like a 5-part story. These are the things that you will include in your graphic novel, but in a much shorter way. So it's not like you're writing out a full story, but you're using pictures and captions in order to captivate this. Because remember, you're not telling the story, you're showing the story through pictures. So here is your task for today's lesson. Task 1 is to label the features of a graphic novel in the panels below. Task number 2, or if you can print off a picture of a graphic novel from online and then label those features that we've discussed today. Task number 2 is to create a toolkit for graphic novels. So what things are you going to need to include in your graphic novel? Maybe give some of these examples. So that's task number 3, to explain what each of these features is useful. So I would like everyone to merge task 2 and 3. When you're writing the features of the graphic novel, can you also include what things, a definition of how you're going to use them and examples of them, just to help you. So that is all for me today. Just remember how you're writing. Remember to go back through the video and look over the things that I've just spoken to you about, all of the things that need to be included in your graphic novel. I look forward to seeing your toolkits on Tapestry. Remember, you can present them in any way that you like, which is just much more accessible for your learning in order for you to look back to, because you are going to need your toolkit throughout the rest of this topic writing. That's all for me today. Bye, everyone.